Hey, you want to hear something cool? Hear the thing. In 1924, in the southeast shadow of Mount St. Helens, a story occurred that was so horrific and terrifying, it was reported in the Oregonian on July 16th with the headlines, Trapper's Cabin Bombarded by Ape Men, 8 feet tall. 5 men had decided that they were going to try their luck in the California gold rush. They didn't find much luck there, so they headed north. When they got to the shadow of Mount St. Helens, they found this huge canyon. Seemed to be untouched by other men. They rappelled down into the canyon, and using dynamite, they blew out a section of the side. This gave them a nice flat surface to be able to build a cabin on. They built that cabin, and they started a small gold mining operation there. And they were having pretty good luck at it, too. Until they were attacked a few months into it. One day they were there, and 2 of them spotted, while they were hunting, they spotted what they described as an ape man across the canyon. They said it was 7 feet tall with blackish-brownish hair. They took shots at it. Not knowing if they hit it, they watched it disappear into the woods. They were completely shocked and astonished by this, and they decided that at first light, they were going to be leaving. They went back and they told the other 3, and they all agreed, if this is truly what you saw, we need to leave. We need to get out of here. Later that night, after dark, they were besieged. Rocks were being thrown at the cabin. They were being completely bombarded by rocks, stones, sticks, things being thrown at the top of the cabin, the sides of the cabin, the front of the cabin, the door of the cabin. They claimed that they saw several of these ape men throwing things at the cabin. They even took shots at many of the ape men. At first light, they followed through on their plan, and they fled. They ran as fast as they could, and one of the creatures followed them. They stopped, they turned around, they took aim, they shot, and they dropped it. They didn't go back for it. They were too fearful that other of these creatures were following as well. They continued to flee. Once these headlines hit in the Oregonian, that canyon was forever renamed Ape Canyon. Several Forest Service workers were hired to go on an expedition the following weeks looking for any trace evidence of this story happening. The Oregonian reported on that with the headlines, Expedition Ready to Begin Hunt for Mountain Devils. One explanation given over the years has been potentially that there was a youth camp that was at the top of the canyon, and that the children of the youth camp found it funny to throw rocks down into the canyon, not knowing that they were hitting a cabin. The problem with this is that the rocks being thrown at the cabin were described as being hit on all sides. These miners described the ape men that they saw throwing things at the sides of the cabin, and this continued all night long. Potentially not children all night long. Another potential explanation came from George Tatagi from the Clallan tribe. George has been known as saying that there was a separate tribe that broke away from his tribe many generations before called the Sepotic tribe. The Sepotic tribe in that area were known for being big and hairy like bears. They were also known to speak to each other in guttural grunts, and they were known to have been regressed to almost animal-like behavior. Regardless of any explanation, howls have been recorded, and casts have been made of footprints consistently in that area ever since. In 1963, climber and skier Jim Carter disappeared. He was climbing with a group, and he decided to ski over a little bit off to one side while they continued their ascent up Mount St. Helens. He was never seen again. When his fellow climbers came back and they looked for him, they found his camera laying in the ground, and they saw tracks that they described as showing that he must have dropped the camera and took off downhill like the devil, taking chances no skier would, jumping ravines and the like. The tracks were said to have gone all the way into Ape Canyon, going right over the edge. No body was ever found of Jim Carter. 75 searchers searched for 2 weeks, looking for any spot of him, any part of him. They didn't find anything. Famous Portland mountaineer Bob Lee stated at the time, "The apes must have got him." This has been the story of Ape Canyon. I'm Brian P. Gallagher. Join me next time on Hear the Thing. Hey, you want to hear something cool?